All right, I'm going to hit you with this one because of what you just said.
Sure.
It says this: when you look at Christian history and the problems that believers fell into, or that the church specifically fell into, what do you think are some of the main problems for our generation or the church at this time in history? What do you see? And because we live in this, I guess, bubble where we're free to speak, like you're a guy that travels around. What's your main thing that you're preaching?
Preaching, believe the Word of God, live it. Know it, do not be afraid, be fearless, and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, and do not compromise your convictions on them. We live in a pluralistic world where people can believe what they want, but the Bible is very narrow-minded. One way to get to the one God. Do not compromise your message. You will not be popular, you won't have a lot of friends, but you'll be telling the truth. The problem we see, Matt number 1 and Matt number 2, is so many Christians are basically compromising what they say. Well, we're the big tent, kind of like the Republican Party. Anybody who believes in God, we'll just kind of take them in, and so they water down the gospel. They become universalists, where everyone ends up going to heaven someday. You get that kind of nonsense, or you've got all sorts of things that are contrary to the faith that's been once and for all delivered to the saints. As Pastor Steve does here, my job and his job is to preach the message that's there. We're not to change it. We're not to sugarcoat it. We're to tell it like it is. And this is not our message. It's God's message. We're just Western Union. We're just delivering it. And the problem we have today is so many people do not want to stand up for the truth. It's difficult. It's going to be a price. There's a price to pay, without a doubt. But the gospel is getting out and has continued to get out. And so that's the thing I see. People are afraid to speak up. And again, like I said, my daughters, particularly my oldest, on the college campus, saying, even when I discuss with my friends some of these things, they kind of look at me. I would even bring up another point of view, like, are you a Neanderthal? Come on, And so that's what we're facing today.
So do you think that we are in as far as the chapters 2 and 3 of Revelation, and I don't know whether you look at those as, the churches?
No, I don't.
Okay,
I don't see it at all.
As a culture, though, do you think that we're basically Laodicea, where we're just this lukewarm melting pot?
Well, we're a little bit of all the 7 churches, but there is that lukewarm. That's true. Laodicea, by the way, actually turned around. There were Christians in Laodicea. It became a center of Christianity until the Greeks split with the Turks at the beginning of the 20th century, believe it or not. Some of the great leaders and bishops came out of Laodicea afterwards. So they did turn around, believe it or not. Most people don't know that. I didn't know until I taught on the subject. I realized, hey, they were all right, finally. But anyway, what they were at the time of Christ, kind of having a form of godliness. They were wealthy, rich, and that's one of the problems here in the West. Look at all the things we have. We didn't grow up with this, but now the technology that we have, we can reach people from anywhere on the face of the earth. There are people watching us on little devices like this, little handheld devices watching us literally around the world. That's what's so weird about it. And so you can be anywhere in the world, and it's both good and bad, because the terrible stuff can go up. It's also the gospel can get out. And so, but there's so much things thrown at people. Can you imagine? And I just feel for kids these days, because they got so much thrown at them. All the stuff. You've got all the social media. You've got Twitter. You've got YouTube. You've got obviously Facebook. You've got all these things that are there, and they're all the farthest left wing is going. They basically shadow ban the Christians there. They do that on Twitter. Same with Facebook. That's why Mr. Zuckerberg on Thursday lost 19% of his value. He lost $18 billion, $800 million, like in 5 minutes, which couldn't happen to a nicer guy, because what he said. Well, look, we're gonna start getting rid of this fake news, meaning people like us who believe something there, and it's like half my audience I don't want anymore, and this board is going, get rid of the guy, because they don't know any better. But that's what you're up to. You have to almost spout the party line. It's groupthink, and that's really tough to fight against it, to fight against the grain. So God bless people, and I understand, how tough it is. It's not easy. Not saying it's easy, but I'm praying, there'll be people standing up saying, look, this is the right thing to do, because we have a message of truth. It's the same message Jesus preached. We're just the ambassadors preaching the message. We didn't make it up, but we're bringing it to the world. We need to continue to do that. So that's kind of answer your question, I think.
Yeah. Paul, man, since you're a youth pastor and stuff, you see the same thing that Don's talking about, as far as the pressures of the youth and the culture that we live in,
one of the
and
things
what
that
you preach.
One of the things I was thinking about was the whole fake news thing, and kids get caught up in that real quick, especially with the whole administration thing. And they look at, when you're looking at left and right, a lot of it has to do with the perception of love and feeling and that type of attitude, and the issue that I'm seeing with our high schoolers, they love coming, believe it or not, they love coming to youth group because that's all we do is a Bible study. We do worship and a Bible study. They grow in the Word, and then they go and they tell their friends. I don't even teach them to witness. They just naturally do it because they're excited about what they learned. But it's not happening with a lot of churches. We've kind of come out of the, what did we call it? It wasn't the
Jesus movement?
That was years ago, but seeker-friendly movement.
That.
And then it turned into the, what was that called? There was even a book on it, where the atmosphere was all... it's not evangelical. It's emergent.
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 We're beyond that. I forgot about them already.
Exactly.
Now on the next thing,
but we're still kind of dealing with the aftermath
of
all that, and people are seeking. They're looking for what does the Bible have to say. What is, and it kind of goes back to your question about why are people so interested in the end times. They want to know what the Bible has to say. They're hungry for it, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of places because of that. Because of the aftermath of all of that, we did a decade of come to church and come as you are, and that's all great. But they didn't learn anything. They didn't meet Christ. They didn't grow in His Word, and then these people have gone off and have shared their experiences, and there's no depth. And so as far as high school goes, they're hungry for it, and the ones that I see that are coming, and actually we get a lot that come from other churches. I'm teaching at a Bible class at a Christian school here, and they love it. They love coming and opening up their Bibles because they go to church and they don't open up their Bible, or they go to anywhere where they're doing some Christian event, they're not opening up their Bible, and they love coming. In fact, I had one kid in my youth group. We teach out of New King James. That's what Steve teaches out of. So I do the same thing, and so I had a mom come up to me today, and she said, "My daughter just got a new Bible, and it's New King James." She says, "Just like Matt's Bible." And she covered for me in a one week where I was gone, and her mom walked in there, and she had sticky notes all over her bed, and she goes, "Now I know how Matt feels." But she's diving into it, and so there's that void has caused a thirst that once you give them a little bit, then kids start getting addicted to it. And so
awesome.
Good for you.